What's going on, guys? We are back for RLCS 2026. We're starting a little bit early in the back end of 2025, but we're going to talk about roster mania and everything you need to know about the European rosters and the MENA rosters heading into this season. We've already got down to the top 16 of the first Open for Europe, but that's kind of where we start anyway. That's where the main event is. That's where all the good teams are going to be battling it out. So we're getting this in just in time. Not going to waste any more of your time. And let's get straight over to my fancy PowerPoint slides as always. So we're going to talk about Europe and MENA today. We'll talk about NA and the rest of the world basically in a different video. But for now, let's just break it down. So we're going to begin with the EU 25 rosters. There was definitely tiers in the European competition. This was absolutely tier 1. Like, obviously, you could break these teams up a little bit more, but in terms of teams that basically had a chance at making some noise at a world championship or whatever, or at majors, these were your teams. 6 teams were basically fighting for, at the end of the day, for the world championship, 5 spots. And most of these players are still going to be on all of these teams, but they all change spots. So we'll start at the very top. We have obviously K-Corp, universally #1 in Europe. Drawley, maybe not universally, but a lot of people think he's one of the best players, if not the best player right now. Well, he is off K-Corp. He is off the European region. He has moved over to the MENA side of things, joining Team Falcons. So that is going to shake a lot of things up, because I think a lot of people expected K-Corp out of all these teams to be the same roster moving forward. Dignitas, a surprising maybe #2 in Europe, fell very short, I would say, at the World Championship, have completely imploded, and they are on all different teams. Abjack, Jorius, and Stizzy. And I don't think necessarily, like, it might not be the team's fault, it might just be offers coming in, but who knows. So that team does not exist anymore. Dignitas moved over to NA, and honestly, they failed to qualify for top 16, so that's a little bit of a rough go there. Moving on, Vitality, Zen's team. Always has been, always probably will be. Zen, Exotic, and Monkey Moon. Monkey Moon was kicked, and now he has joined, actually, Twisted Minds in the MENA region. Again, another player from Europe that was in this tier 1 space, moving out and going to a different region. That basically opens the door for at least 2 new players to join this tier 1 of teams in Europe that are going to be battling for a majority of probably the World Championship spots and the major spots. GK, Archie, Joyo, and Oli. Team has changed a bit. We will talk about that as we get there, but all these players will still be involved in some way. Ninjas in Pajamas. Team has changed a bit as well. Nas and Oski teaming together. Rado off the squad, but now under different orgs. We will get there. Gentlemates as well. These guys have all been placed onto different teams, so we will talk about them in a second. But these were your teams in Europe 2025. It's going to look very similar. It's just these names are going to move to different spots in Europe 2026. But these teams are still the tier 1 teams, or the tier 1 players, I would say, and then we just added a couple of extras. So K-Corp, Juicy joining K-Corp. That's a huge move for Juicy, coming from the Gentlemates squad, as you see here. So he's coming over, joining the #1 team in Europe as of last year. Gentle Bench, great name, is Eugen, Rado, and Mitzer, who's coming over from BDS. I'm not sure why I capitalized the R. Maybe that's how it is. I'm not really sure. So that is a roster that is like the leftovers of Europe, the leftovers of Tier 1. Mitzer gets to join one of these Tier 1 teams. We'll see how well they do. They're probably on the back side of this Tier 1, but we'll see. Like Eugen, a lot of promise last year. Rado comes in late last year and makes some noise. So a team to watch out for, one of those that can play spoiler and probably win a regional. I could see it. I could see it happening. Vitality, Zen, Exotic. They got to replace Monkey Moon. Stizzy comes in from the old Dignitas roster. A lot of people were contemplating, does Exotic also get moved off that team? But for now, Zen, Exotic, and Stizzy. And honestly, so far, an okay showing at the first. There was a French LAN, which we'll talk about here in a few moments. That was kind of important to see the previews of a few of these teams. But Vitality looked pretty decent there, and you expect them to continue to be probably a top 3 team, I would say. Maybe top 4, depending on how other teams perform. GK, kind of a new roster. Joyo's still there. Seiko joins them from Gentlemates, and Appjack from Dignitas. So 3 players from 3 different teams all joining together. Probably the most likable team on this list because of Joyo and Appjack in terms of fan bases. But we'll see how they perform. I think they would probably be on the back half, I would say, like of this tier 1. But Appjack continues to surprise. Last year, Dignitas was not really supposed to do much. Their pros, their peers, ranked them outside of being a major team, and they were number 2 in Europe. But he's had 2 rough world championships in a row, so see if he can bounce back from that. Ninjas in Pajamas, CRR coming over from Complexity. One of the players that I've always valued very, very highly. Can kind of do everything on the field. But is time getting to him? I feel like last season he wasn't at his best, but maybe that was just the dynamic of the team, right? So we'll see if CRR can bounce back. I really value this player very highly. Jorius and Oli joining this team. So again, 3 players, 3 different teams joining Ninjas in Pajamas. Again, probably on the back half of this tier, but we'll probably do a proper power ranking video, maybe even after the first day of the Open 1 like main event stuff for top 8 to see who goes to the kickoff LAN. Probably before the kickoff LAN, we'll probably do a proper, here's my world championship picks, and we will rank these guys then. Gentlemates, we will end on them. Probably should be ahead of Gentle Bench, but, you know, whatever. It doesn't really matter. We got Archie, Nas, and Oski, and these guys are making waves. There was a French LAN. There was a group stage first, and the Gentlemates went 9-1 during that group stage, beating K-Corp twice. They traded wins with Vitality. There's basically 3 good teams there. Vitality, K-Corp, and the Mates. And the Mates, number 1 in groups. They go to the playoff bracket. They beat K-Corp in the finals as well. K-Corp took down Vitality after a rough group stage, but they did take down Vitality to make it to that finals, but Gentlemates have won. So your pseudo power rank number 1 team going into the first Open will be Gentlemates. Naskanoski, obviously, they're still paired. They look pretty good at the World Championship. Archie has had this resurgence. He looks so good these past year, I would say. So, like, Archie coming over, that's going to be a team that is going to be fighting for one of those top spots. Do I think they're number 1? I don't know. I'm not sure. I think I would probably still pick K-Corp at the end of the day. But you let me know, like in the comments below, when it comes down to World Championships time, who's the EU number 1 seed? I would love to know, because we will be making a video about that a little bit later. Now, these are your 6 teams that I expect to be fighting for a majority of the major and world championship spots. Now, remember, there's a kickoff LAN in between Europe and NA to determine if which region gets a 5th spot at majors, which also means they'll get an extra team to the LCQ. So 6 teams could be going from this region, like if Europe wins that tournament. I would expect more times than not it would be these teams, but there's a few dark horses, and let me know if you have any other dark horse teams that you think could possibly make it. Here's your dark horse teams, in my opinion, that have a chance. Magnifico, we got Atomic. He's coming from Twisted Minds. Then we got the Raziers. I always like say his name wrong, so I got to. And Tox. I think these guys, they have a shot. They probably could, have a top 4 here or there. I don't expect them maybe to do too much, but you never know. Maybe they will perform. 2 Danes, 1 Bruv. I actually like this team a decent amount. Edge, B, Acro, and Tempo. We'll see if they can improve from last year. It's the same team that they had last year, at least around last chance qualifier time. So we'll see if they can continue to improve as a team. Maybe my pick for the most dark horse team that I think has a chance to make a major. And then we got Novo, basically the old BDS outside of Mitzer. We got Nico, Macronix joining them, and Juke. So look out for these teams. These teams will probably challenge those top 6, and I expect these guys to make a lot of top 8s in the regionals for Europe. So look out for them. Moving on to MENA. MENA's a little bit of a different tale, I would say. MENA, they also just had a LAN. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Or a tournament. I believe it was a LAN. I actually didn't watch it. So I have to go back and watch it. That is my homework. But for now, I believe it was a LAN. So MENA 25, Falcons, obviously, were fantastic. Made it to the World Championship Finals. TRK were awesome killers. They got rid of TRK. MENA fans aren't happy. They're like, why would you do that? We love TRK. Everyone loves TRK. So the fans not really pleased with Falcons. But instead, they pick up Drolly, which I like. Okay, you can't really blame them for, like, if Drolly's available, you probably pick up Drolly. And you're not going to split up the twins of Roas and Killers. It's just not going to happen. So I don't mind the move. That is a move that is world championship caliber of the best team in the world. Absolutely. Twisted Minds. Yeah, Nobo, Rise, and Atomic. They were 2/3 European. They cannot do that no more. It has to be 2/3 MENA. Rise leaves for NA, goes to Gen G. Rise just loves to, just travel the world. I expect him to do big things over, like, in North America. Rise is always one of those guys that, performs. Nobo, maybe the best player in the world, honestly. Like, you got to watch out for him. 1v1 ability, obviously, is the best in the world. But he is phenomenal with new teammates around him, like a TRK and a Monkey Moon, especially Monkey Moon, because Monkey Moon is a player that does not care if he has the spotlight. He is going to play with no boost, just position in the midfield and support his teammates. That's what he did on Vitality with Zen. It's what he'll do with Nobo here as well. Nobo probably going to have a career year. Very likely, I think, could win the MENA MVP award. He's going to be fantastic. And with TRK there as well. Like, Monkey Moon is a great fit for two MENA players that want a lot of boost and want to do a lot of crazy plays. Monkey Moon's a great fit because there's only so much boost on the field. Your team cannot have three players that are boost hungry and just want to do everything, right? So Monkey Moon, he's going to take a back seat. We'll see what happens. Monkey Moon, positionally, in the past, obviously world class. At times, he looked a little bit lost on Vitality. We'll see if that changes with Twisted Minds. At the MENA land, though, Twisted Minds, they did take the first one. They beat Falcons twice in that tournament to win it. So Twisted Minds already challenging for that number one spot, like, in MENA. So that should be really interesting to see where they perform. It's probably going to be back and forth all year between Twisted Minds and Falcons. And speaking on that, MENA, they have obviously 2 World Championship spots. It's going to be Twisted Minds and Falcons. There's literally no other team that I expect to make a major, to make the World Championship, whatever. Points are not going to matter, like in MENA, at all, because it's going to be Twisted Minds and Falcons. Number 1, number 2, it doesn't really matter. One thing I do know is both these teams are top 8 at the very least. Very likely could even both be top 4 in terms of the world. So they will get an LCQ spot because of their high averages, and they'll probably be the number 1 LCQ region yet again. And really, it just comes down to who wins the LCQ. There's a lot of teams in MENA that I think can challenge ROC. So ROC got it last time. They were the same roster this year again. I didn't want to list them all because, honestly, I don't have as much knowledge of the lesser teams in MENA from, like, the 3 through 8s. But there's going to be a lot of teams challenging for those spots. And honestly, it's kind of weird because none of the opens are going to matter, because Twisted Minds and Falcons are going to make it. It's going to come down to which team is in form when it comes down to the last chance qualifier. We'll see who that team is. For now, I listed ROC. It's the same team. But honestly, there's probably at least 3 to 5 teams that have a chance in MENA based on my limited knowledge of those lower end teams. So it's going to be a bloodbath for MENA. So watch out for them, because like whoever they bring will definitely have some positives to go along with that team and could make a run as well. So there you have it. Europe and MENA. It's going to be insane. MENA might have 2 of the top 4 teams in the world now. They might have the 2 best teams between Europe and MENA. Like, they might be number 1 and number 2 between those 2 regions. It might be Falcons and Twisted Minds. We'll have to see how it all plays out. These guys will not be at that first kickoff LAN, which is unfortunate, so we won't get to see Falcons and Twisted Minds there. But Europe is looking like it's going to be spicy this year. K-Corp was a number 1 last year. At the beginning of the year, we thought it was going to be Vitality or K-Corp. And then it just turned into K-Corp just running away with it. I expect it to be a little bit more diverse. I expect probably at least like 4 regional winners throughout this. And it should be an interesting final day. Top 6s are going to be a lot of fun, like in Europe, because it's probably going to be these teams a lot of the times. And it's just going to be who's hot on the day. I could see a team only winning 2 regionals at the most. Last year, I think K-Corp won 4 of them. if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. There might have been 5. I think it was 4. But I could see this region having only like a couple teams winning 2 of these. So I got the most. Maybe 3, like if a team really pops off. But I'm going to bet on we only see 2-time Open champions, and it's going to be split amongst these teams. They're going to be trading wins all the time on those final days. So you won't want to miss the RLCS Europe Championship days for Open 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Obviously, for the kickoff LAN as well, that's going to be a LAN for the top 6. So whoever makes it out of that, they'll get to play in that as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But Europe is going to be very interesting this year to see who comes out on top, but also the fight for just those 4 major spots, a potential 5th because of that kickoff LAN. So see how it all pans out. But that is it for me. Roster Mania is done for Europe. And honestly, it was just all the players in Tier 1 just kind of moved to different teams, and they stayed probably in that Tier 1. We'll see if these Dark Horse teams have any chance to make some damage happen. And again, list your other Dark Horse teams that you think in Europe that have a shot. And if you want to list your MENA teams that you think have a shot to even challenge Twisted Minds or Falcons, or at least for the last chance qualifier when they have that down the road. But that'll do it for me. We will see you on the RLCS shows in the new year. Very likely. I'm not probably on any of the shows this year, so just keep that in mind. But I'll see you then. So, adios.